Hello everyone and welcome to Jim's Code Corner. My name is Jim Belcher and today we're going to continue on working on our to-do list that we're creating with Spring Boot and Angular 4. Last time we completed the tasks for creating a new to-do list item today, and we actually got that populated into our to-do list when added. This time we're actually going to start working on the endpoint for when we actually load the page, so it populates the table. So this week we're going to work on the endpoint. Next week we'll actually put it into the front end, and it'll just load as the page loads. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next task here in Trello. Let's see, the scenario is, as a user, I want to see a list of all my to-do list items when the page loads. Okay. Two pieces of acceptance criteria. Given I added a to-do list item to the list, when the to-do list loads, then I want to see the to-do list items that I previously added. Second piece, given a to-do list item is loaded, when I look at the to-do list, then I see a to-do list item's description. It's gonna bother me. Okay, so easy enough. Let's go ahead and get started on that. Let's move this into in progress, and we'll get going on that. So we'll start by moving into STS here, and we are going to create a new endpoint to basically find all the tasks. So we're going to first, of course, go into our controller, and we're going to write a test first, because we always write tests first. And the test is going to be very similar to what we did for the create item. It's simply going to return something. So in this case, it's going to be another list, or it's going to return a list of to-do list items. So let's go ahead and code that. So we're going to write a test, public, void, test, test find all, should return to do, or let's see, populated to do list. Let's say populated list. It's a little more descriptive there, in my opinion, because that's what we're returning, a list. So, in order to do that, we first need to create a list to be returned with our mock. So we'll create a final list to do item, and we'll call this to do items, and it's going to equal a new array list to do item, and go ahead and call a constructor on that. Look at our imports here. Okay, cool. So next we're going to have to actually create a task to populate in this list. So I'm going to create a final to do item, once again, equals a new to do item. Okay, then we could just do to do item dot set description. I am a to-do list item, and to do item dot set, because there'll be an ID in this case, so we need to set an ID. We'll say it's the 100th. Okay, so now we have a list and we have a to-do item. Let's go ahead and add that to-do item to that list. So to do items dot add the to-do item. All right, next we're actually going to write a mock out so that when we call our service, which we're going to have a function in there or a method in there called find all, it'll return that list. So when to do list item let's see, I know this, I don't know why I'm hesitating here. It's kind of obvious. Service dot find all blah. Okay. Then return the to-do list. not to do items. What am I thinking? Okay, so of course it's angry at me because we didn't actually create this function yet, or this method yet, so we'll do that in a moment. Let me go ahead and cut my notifications off. Okay. So, let's see, we have, where was I? Okay, so, sorry, we were mocking that guy out. So of course throwing an error, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do here, we're actually gonna go ahead and put to do, or we're gonna make a new list. I'll copy this guy over. And we'll say result equals a new array list to do items. Call constructor once again. Actually, we won't even do that. We'll just go ahead and equal that to do list item service dot find all, because I should return that list for me. Okay. Now what I should be able to do is make an assertion here. So I'll assert that result dot size is equal to 1. Okay. So that makes a pretty valid test here. We're adding an item to our list. If we're making sure we're returning the list, that list should have 1 item in it. So basically the test really is the item we actually returning here, does it actually have stuff in it? And in this case it will. But first we got to get rid of this red here, and then we can start to actually write some code, because right now it's erroring out just because those things don't even exist yet. And let's go ahead and add it to our interface. So public to do, excuse me, list to do item find all. It won't take any parameters in there. And we'll just import that guy in, and we'll notice that these guys should go away once I actually put them into the impl. That is. There we go. Why is it not happy? Did I make a typo? I did make a typo. Look at that. It's not to-do list item service, to-do item service. Okay, cool. There we go. So the error went away. If we ran it right now, we'll see that it fails. So we'll run as junit test. But it passed. That's kind of strange since the thing doesn't even exist. Huh. What to do? In the right test. I'm actually calling the test here. Why is the test asserting 1? That is a very interesting problem, seeing how if we go to the service here, the impl, well, not that, we'll go to the controller, the real controller, that function doesn't even exist. Oh, that's the problem. See, what I'm doing here is I'm actually calling the service. I don't call it service there, it's just silly me. Okay, subject dot find all. That's better. So now that's airing up because we didn't actually write the function yet. Okay, cool. That makes sense. So let's go here, and we'll go ahead and write this guy. So request mapping, like the post above, it's going to have a value of nothing because we're getting everything. Equals request method dot get this time. I'm going to do a public response body list to do item, and then we will find all with, once again, no parameters in there. Does not take any arguments. Okay, so now we actually got to write this guy out. So let's do some imports real quick, and then we'll go through that painful task of actually writing this guy. That should be the response body, not the request body. Okay, we'll import that guy, and okay, it's gonna be pretty stressful. To do item service dot find all. There we go. Cool. Now that it's written, we should be able to go to our test, and we will see a passing test this time. There we go. I don't think I actually ran that prior to, so let's go ahead and just return null, which won't work. Oh yeah, well, and we'll rerun this guy. There's our failed test, so just to clear that, I actually did write code that fixes a failed test. Put that back. Rerun, and we're green again. Cool. So that is the controller. The controller is going to take in a request, will not have an ID or anything in there. It's going to be a GET request. It's going to return a list of items, and it's just going to call a service. It's going to call the find all function inside the service. So let's go ahead and write that guy. So let's go into now the service test, and we'll write test public void test find all should return list. Okay, and final to do excuse me, it's fine to do a list to do item equals, oh, let's see, to do items equals a new array list of to do item and constructor. Okay, so just like last time, we're going to do the exact same thing. In fact, I'm just going to copy the code. It's that easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all this stuff here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Import list, and we're good to go. Now we have a list that can be returned from the repository. Okay, so now we're just going to do when to do item repository dot find all, and you'll notice it's already there for us. This is part of that whole Spring JPA and Hibernate stuff. It's already puts this stuff here for us once we extended. And I'll remind you guys that real quick. So if I go to repositories, I go to repository, and we're extending this CRUD repository here. That gives us access to all those functions, including the find all. So we're doing find all dot, then we'll return, and we'll return the two items, that list, because that's exactly what it gets returned from that repository, excuse me. So all we need to do from the service function here is just simply call that from the repository. Very similar to the controller, just passing it on to somewhere else. So we're going to do final list to do item, and we'll call it result equals this dot to do item repository dot find. No. I must have made the same mistake again as I did last time. Subject. Oh my goodness, I can't type. Subject. Okay. Dot. Find all. Because that now exists, so that's why I was able to find it. So this will return a list. And once again, all we're going to do is assert that result dot size is equal to 1. Okay, we'll run this guy. It fails as it should. And now we can go to the actual service and we'll write that guy. So let's see, service impl. Yeah, let's get rid of all that stuff. And what we're going to do is just return this dot to do list repository dot find all. That's all there is to it. At least it should be. That's all there's to it. Apparently it ain't. Can't convert iterable to a list item. Okay. Let me think for a moment. So that's probably something simple. It usually is, right? Get rid of this. It's not necessary. This stuff. All right. To-do item repository. It's going to return a list of to-do items. But this is returning an iterable, but it can't convert it to a list. So I think I know what the problem is there, and I made a slight mistake when we actually created that repository. So it shouldn't be actually extending CRUD, because CRUD's going to return that iterable, right? So what we're going to actually do is change this to JPA repository. Okay, gives us pretty much all the same stuff. We won't even have to change the save here because it's still part of that repository. But now we'll see that find all returns a list and not an iterable. So that should be all we have to write. So let's go ahead and back to our test. We will run the test. And we get green. That should be all there is to this guy. That endpoint should be complete. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to run all my tests. I know I kind of just did, but we'll do it again. While that's doing that, we will attempt to get this on the screen. I'm just going to close these guys out. There we go. Okay, so we saw the test passed here. Sorry about that, a little distraction there. So moving on, yeah, we can see our test passed here. So let's move on. We'll now get it all set up here in Postman. So I'm going to delete these guys out. Yes. And I think we can actually use that one. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'll delete it. So what we need to do first is we need to actually get our backend running here. So Gradle boot run. So we'll wait for this to start up for us. While it's actually doing that, I'm actually going to go back to the controller. Find that guy. And I'm going to grab this endpoint here. Go back to Postman. This is probably running by now. Yeah, it is. Okay. And what we're going to need to do is first we're going to have to add some things to our table. So let's go ahead and run at that. Localhost port 8080. There we go. Perfect. Go to the body. We'll go to raw. And we'll create a new object. We'll say description. It's the same as we did last video. Or last video, last section, I suppose, last task. This is a sample task or to-do item. All right, and we'll go ahead and submit that. And I got an error back. Why did I get an error back? Let's find out. So let's see, the issue is HB media type not supported. Oh, yeah, of course, because I'm doing this as text, it needs to be JSON. Okay, so send that in. There, we got an ID back. Let's go ahead and create another one. So we'll say 2 here. We see it's ID 2 and we have 2 here. So now let's go ahead and call that same endpoint, but with a GET request. And what we should get is a list of all the 2 items that we've created so far. So we'll call it, and there we go. We got 1 and 2 here. So it looks like our endpoint is working. So let's to show you what happens when nothing is actually in a database, like creating erroring out. Let's go ahead and reboot this because remember the way I have this configured is it's going to create a new table structure every single time it boots up. So once we get this booted, we'll see what happens. What we should see is an empty list. So we'll go ahead and call that get once again, and there's our empty list. And just to prove nothing's changed there, boom, and there it is. Cool. So that's it for this endpoint. It seems to be working fine. So next video we're going to do, we're actually going to do the front end piece of this. We'll actually call this API and then get all the to-do items, and we'll populate that table that we created. So all right, that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. Um, I do appreciate the comments I've been getting so far on my series. I am looking for more ideas for direction for this series, or if you want to see a whole nother series in general. Um, so if you have any suggestions, maybe you want to see authentication or uh, something along those lines, or maybe an in-depth conversation maybe about Liquidbase or something like that, a database migration tool. Let me know, and I'll add some more tasks to the Trello board, and we'll see where we can go from there. All right, as always, I will put code into this, our link to the code in the description. And if you guys need help with any of your projects, just let me know, and I'll do my best to help you with those. All right, thank you very much.